Is Cobra Kai the best revival slash reboot slash spinoff, or whatever you want to call it, of all time? Before watching Cobra Kai, I had seen The Karate Kid a few times. I'd seen some of The Karate Kid Part 2. I didn't know there was a third one. And I saw some of The Next Karate Kid. So I enjoyed The Karate Kid, but I wasn't like the biggest fan. When this show made it from YouTube Red onto Netflix, I thought, why not give it a shot? And here we are, almost 5 years later. From the incredible pacing, to the innovative fight scenes, to the complex rivalries, this show was so impressive, and I'm sad to see it end. I've thought a lot about this show, and my favorite seasons. So today, I'm ranking the seasons of Cobra Kai. This is just my opinion, though. I'm curious to know how you'd rank the seasons. Drop a comment down below with your rankings. Let's get started. At number 6, we have Season 3. In this season, we have Miguel healing from his school fight injury, Kreese taking over Cobra Kai, Robby and Tory facing consequences for the school fight, and honestly, most of the season isn't that memorable. Season 3, despite trying to juggle so many characters, feels empty. I thought the screen time for the characters was unbalanced. The big fight at the end of the season just does not have the stakes of the other end of season fights. I get it, it's not easy to keep up the level of tension and rivalry throughout the show. But most of the Cobra Kai characters here feel like cartoonish lackeys. My biggest issue with the season, though, and the show overall, is how unceremoniously Aisha is written off. Her character was interesting, and she had lots of potential for the future seasons. She was the second Cobra Kai student. She was just as important as Dimitri and Hawk, and she was Sam's long-term friend. And when she is gone, none of the characters seemed to care. Her character was dynamic, and she deserved better. At number 5, we have Season 6. This season sees the Miyagi-Do students preparing for the Sakai Taikai, competing in Barcelona, and continuing the tournament in the Valley. This is probably the most controversial ranking on this list. There were a lot of things I liked in this season. Sam and Tori forgiving each other, the sudden reveal of Johnny and Miguel joining Tori as Cobra Kai representatives at the 11th hour, Sam choosing not to compete, Kreese getting some redemption. However, the first 5 episodes repeated issues that had been covered in earlier seasons, especially with Johnny and Daniel disagreeing over the training of the students. And maybe that's life. Conversations get repeated, some issues may never resolve. As a viewer, though, it dragged. Quan dies during the Sakai Taikai, and it's gotten over much too quickly. Having Johnny compete in the tournament was cheesy. The show has Johnny go on this whole journey, and then at the end, he's just as mean to his students as he was in season 1. It soured the finale for me. At number 4, we have Season 4. In this season, we see the characters preparing for another All-Valley tournament and Johnny trying to establish a new dojo. This season is okay. It seems to be righting the ship after Season 3. The characters had balanced screen time, and the emotional stakes of the fights returned. The moment where Robby goes into attack mode in his fight with Kenny, and the lights afterwards acting like a siren, was masterful. As someone who hadn't seen The Karate Kid 3 before this season, I felt like I was learning about Terry Silver alongside all the other characters. His presence ups the stakes in the show. Tori finding out the ref was bribed sets up an intriguing storyline. This season isn't higher on the list because besides the big moments, the rest of the plot wasn't memorable. Until I was making this video, I had forgotten that Daniel had agreed to shut down Miyagi-Do if they lost, for example. The main plot points were solid, but I felt other seasons had lots of quiet moments that still stood out. The shifting loyalties and alliances at this point were tiring. At number 3, we have Season 5. We have Terry Silver trying to expand Cobra Kai, Kreese in jail, Johnny and Daniel working together, and more. The season ends with the characters in a good place. If the show hadn't had another season, this would have been a perfectly good ending. We have a return to form in the interesting weaving together of rivalries and loyalties, with Robby going back to Miyagi-Do, Devin going to Cobra Kai, and Tory trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. When Johnny finds Miguel in Mexico, I cried. Miguel and Robby becoming friends was heartwarming. Seeing all three of Daniel's former enemies fighting together was sick. The reveal that Tory and Kreese were working together was great. The background Cobra Kai sensei seeming like personality-less cartoon villains, though, keeps this season from being higher on the list. Also, in this season, we find out that Carmen is pregnant. So, this means that she's pregnant across 3 seasons, and between season 4 and 6, about 9 months pass, which is wild. At number 2, we have season 2. Here we have the Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai rivalry getting worse before it becomes an all-out brawl at the school. The character rivalries are so carefully layered in this season that, even years after having first watched this season, I'm still blown away with what the writers achieved. Every character has a grievance, and the audience can understand the frustrations of both sides. For Robby and Miguel, a lesser show would have had their rivalry be about the relationships or about the tournament. But adding in the problem with Johnny being an inconsistent at best father figure elevates it. The season ends with the 14-minute fight, with a large section of it being in a single take. I wish I could have my memory of it erased so I could experience that fight scene again for the first time. I wouldn't expect this level of production from a YouTube show. Unlike the later end of season fights, season 2 has the audience invested in each character in the fight. While other seasons have more impressive karate moves as the characters gain more skills, I feel that the fight choreography is at its best in this season. I felt like I was watching a video game where every character had their own style and stats. My one issue with this season is that they didn't clarify early on that it was summer. So I wondered for the first few episodes why they weren't in school. And at number 1, the best season of Cobra Kai, the Queen Cobra, the baddest in the valley, we have season 1. The season that started it all. After Johnny intervenes when Miguel is attacked, he starts teaching him karate. Other students join Cobra Kai. Robby starts training with Daniel as a way to get back at his father. Sam, who is getting caught up with the Mean Girls, decides to change. It all comes to a head at the All Valley tournament. Season 1 got me hooked on the show, and I wanted to see what happened to these characters, even when there were seasons that I didn't enjoy as much. The concept of season 1 has staying power, taking the bully kids and transforming them into bullies, and Johnny's role reversal as a Mr. Miyagi type. Season 1 asks the best questions of its audience. Is there anything meaningful and good in the Cobra Kai philosophy, or is it all toxic? This question permeates the other seasons, but it is strongest here. I think that's a feeling we can all identify with. The life philosophies we've carried around, are they helpful or hurtful? The audience can also identify with life not turning out as hoped, and trying to reclaim the lost version of the self, or become something better. These two elements, questioning the life philosophy and life not turning out as hoped, make the first season stand out. Additionally, Miguel's descent from happy-go-lucky guy to aggressive, merciless fighter is so gradual and impressively written. This season isn't perfect, though. The way the students talk to each other is concerningly harsh, to the point of it being distracting. So that's it. Every season of Cobra Kai ranked. While we're here are some other things I wanted to mention about this show, but that didn't fit neatly into one season. Number 1. This show will always make me question why they never call the cops. Number 2. Amanda LaRusso is the funniest character in this show. And I'm sad that she gets fewer funny lines as the show progresses. She acts as a stand-in for the audience in the early seasons, pointing out how ridiculous the karate feud is. Number 3. While it's an issue in many shows, These people are recovering way too quickly from concussions. That wraps up my video on Cobra Kai. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.